Hello class, I am Happy Narang, your subject teacher of environmental science. Today's topic is eutrophication. So let's start. Here is agenda given. It is the following: introduction to the basic concept of eutrophication, basic idea, definition, types of eutrophication, natural eutrophication, cultural eutrophication, sources, that are point sources, non-point sources, a brief outline, effects of eutrophication, remedial measures or monitoring. So first we should understand what actually eutrophication is. Here is a basic idea originated from Greek words eu is equal to well and trophis is equal to fed. Thus it means well fed or nutrient rich. It alters the dynamics of a number of plant, animal and bacterial populations, thus bringing about changes in community structure. It is a form of water pollution and like all other forms of pollution is the result of human activities influencing ecological cycles. Eutrophication in the Sea of Azov source Sea Wives projects, NASA Space Flight Center and Orbimeg as shown in the figure. Eutrophication can be defined as excessive nutrient load in water body that support a dense growth of algae and other organisms, the decay of which depletes the shallow waters of oxygen in summer. Eutrophication may be defined as an increase in the rate of supply of organic matter to an ecosystem. It means enhanced nourishment and refers to the stimulation of aquatic plant growth by mineral nutrients, particularly the combined forms of phosphorus or nitrogen. Types of eutrophication. It is of two types basically: natural eutrophication and cultural eutrophication. So first we'll talk about natural eutrophication and then we'll talk about the cultural eutrophication. And as we also can compare between the natural eutrophication and cultural eutrophication. So let's start. Natural eutrophication is a process that occurs as a lake or river ages over a period of hundreds or thousands of a year. It means more than 100 years it takes. Then cultural eutrophication is a process that occurs when humans release excessive amounts of nutrients. It shortens the rate of aging to decades. Sources of eutrophication. Point sources are directly attributable to one influence. In point sources, the nutrient waste travels directly from source to water. Point sources are relatively easy to regulate, and the non-point source pollution, also known as diffuse or runoff pollution, is that which comes from ill-defined and diffuse sources. Non-point sources are difficult to regulate and usually vary especially and temporarily with season, precipitation and other irregular events. It has been shown that nitrogen transport is correlated with various indices of human activity in watersheds, including the amount of development. Flowing in agriculture and development are activities that contribute most to nutrient loading. So here is the detail given of point sources and non-point sources. So first we'll talk about the point sources. Wastewater effluent, that is municipal and industrial, runoff and leachate from waste disposal systems, runoff and infiltration from animal feedlots, runoff from mines, oil fields, unsewered industrial sites, overflows of combined storm and sanitary sewers, runoff from construction sites less than 20,000 square meter, untreated sewage. So now we'll discuss about the non-point sources. Runoff from agriculture or irrigation, runoff from pasture and range, urban runoff from unsewered areas, septic tank leachate, runoff from construction site more than 20,000 square meter, runoff from abandoned mines, atmospheric deposition over a water surface, other land activities generating contaminants. Major sources of eutrophication are Major sources of excess nutrients are agricultural fertilizers, domestic sewage, and livestock wastage. Agricultural fertilizers provide inorganic nutrients. Sewage and wastage provide both inorganic and organic nutrients. Sources of cultural eutrophication, as you can observe by this figure. Effects of eutrophication on the environment are decreases in the transparency of water, development of anoxic conditions, that is low oxygen levels, increased algal blooms, loss of habitat. For an example, we can say sea grass beds, change in dominant biota. For an example, changes in plankton and macrophyte community structure, or changes in fish composition, decreases in species diversity, change in the aesthetic value of the water body. So now we'll discuss the socio-economic consequences of eutrophication. Increased vegetation may impair water flow and the movement of boats. The water may become unsuitable for drinking even after treatment. Decrease in the amenity value of the water. For an example, it may become unsuitable for water sports such as sailing. Disappearance of commercially important species such as trout. Loss of tourism recreation, that is swimming or boating. Loss of aesthetic value, that is visual disseminity of algal blooms and lakes. Here is an impact. By this figure we can observe before eutrophication and after eutrophication. The condition is algal bloom in a lake. We can observe by this figure. Overgrowth of floating aquatic plants shown in the figure. On-right fish mortality due lack of oxygen in Indonesian lake, as shown in the figure. So here is remedial measures are reduction in the use of phosphates as builders in detergents, reduction in the use of nitrate containing fertilizers, implementation of tertiary sewage treatment methods which remove phosphate and nitrate, improvements in agricultural practices like economizing on fertilizer use and improving land use, aeration of lakes and reservoirs to prevent oxygen depletion, particularly during algal blooms, restoration of natural wetlands efficient in nutrient removal, removing phosphate-rich plant material from affected lakes, removing phosphate-rich sediments by dredging, and the slogan we can go for it, that is go green. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.